Hello, my name is Stephanie, and tonight I'm reading chapter 3 of Hosea. So here we are. Might read a little bit of chapter 4 as well, since chapter 3 looks very short. And as you can see, check out my videos on chapters 1 and 2, or go read them yourself. They're not very long. They're super intense. Essentially, Hosea is a prophet of God. So this is a man that's set apart. He lives a holy life. He's the mouthpiece of God for Israel, right? And all of a sudden, God one day tells Hosea to marry a prostitute and have children with her because it's going to represent what he's going to do in Israel and how he feels about Israel and the Jewish people, God's chosen people. So really interesting stuff. You'd never expect God to tell a prophet to marry a prostitute, would you? So, and of course, she's like unfaithful as well. I mean, she behaves like a prostitute, but let's see what God has to say. Hosea's wife is redeemed. Then the Lord said to me, this is Hosea speaking. Well, now God speaking. Hosea's taken it down, right? Write down the revelation. Go and love your wife again, even though she commits adultery with another lover. This will illustrate that the Lord still loves Israel, even though the people have turned to other gods, Baal, and love to worship them. So remember, the false gods like Baal, the pagan rituals they would do, and it was awful. So God had every reason to be angry, to be jealous, to be upset, because he had delivered the Israelites from Egypt. He parted the Red Sea through Moses. Like, God had proven himself, and yet they still were rebelling. So it wasn't a question of like, oh, does God exist? No, they knew God existed, and they knew what God had done on their behalf, and still they were worshiping false gods. So God was angry about this, of course, but he was also very merciful and gracious and still loved Israel. Okay, so that's what you need to catch here. So I bought her back for 15 pieces of silver. So this is Hosea obeying God. He says, so I bought her back. He bought Gomer, his wife, back for 15 pieces of silver and 5 bushels of barley and a measure of wine. Then I said to her, you must live in my house for many days and stop your prostitution. During this time, you will not have sexual relations with anyone, not even with me. So it's kind of like a form of fasting. Interesting to maybe break that stronghold. This shows that Israel will go a long time without a king or prince. Oh, very interesting. And without sacrifices, sacred pillars, priests, or even idols. Right, so just clear it all out. Not even a leader, because I believe if you read 1st and 2nd Kings, it talks about how, the descendants of David and Solomon and just king after king after. It started with Solomon, actually. That was the one. That's why we don't know if Solomon is in heaven or not, even though he wrote 3 books of the Bible, because even though he had this amazing relationship with God, he also disobeyed God. He had, like a 700 wives, 300 concubines or something, and they pulled him into worshiping false gods. And God said, don't do that. Don't do that. So it started with him, and then his descendants, same thing. And so God had kept his promise that there's going to be many descendants of Israel. Your descendants will rule over Israel. But they were all worshiping false gods. So God's saying, you know what? No more kings, no more princes, no more sacrifices, no more sacred pillars, no more priests, no more idols, right? Get rid of all of it, fast it all. But afterward, the people will return and devote themselves to the Lord their God and to David's descendant, their king. Interesting. See, so again, the promise, David's descendant, because God has to keep his promises, right? Even though they were allowing idol worship, God was still faithful to keep his promises. So in the last days, they will tremble in awe of the Lord and of his goodness. So fasting brings breakthrough. If you are trying to overcome sin, there's an idol in your life. An idol is anything that is consuming you that isn't God. Anything that, and sometimes we don't, it could be food, it could be body image, it could be politics. Even if you have good politics, it's godly politics. I mean, the Bible is all about politics and government. But if it's an idol, if it's consuming you more than God is, you might need to fast that. Social media, even like, gossip, right? That's a sin. Anything that seems to be ruling over you, even if it's just starting to, it's just whatever's on your mind the most, whatever is coming out of your mouth, right? Because that reveals what's in your heart. And if it's really negative, sometimes it's negativity, right? Jesus says that that's actually what defiles the person, is what comes out of their mouth. So maybe you need to just be quiet for 3 days, go on a fast of words. I mean, seriously, if you have trouble controlling your tongue, maybe you just need to be silent for 3 days straight or something. Seek God about it. Seek God, pray about it. Ask him to show you what kind of fast you need to go on to break any strongholds in your life. If it's a very obvious sin, obviously, or just anything that seems to have its grip on you and it's oppressing you. Remember, Jesus said, "Take my yoke upon you. My burden is easy and light." So anything that has you, it could be work, being a workaholic. Now, I know that's a tough one because we got to make money, but again, pray about it, because it's through resting in Christ and letting him do the work for us, fight our battles, that we're victorious. So seek God about it, and join me in the next video for chapter 4 of Hosea.